Welcome to today's episode of ADH Tea with me, Donna, all the things at Unravel Tea.
And me, Sarah, Wheelie Mama, intuitive empowerment coach, author, speaker, and mum of 3.
Today we will talk about accessibility and internal monologue, internal dialogue, and also we discover Sarah's ego. It's a fun ride. So, Sarah, what is in your cup and what is on your mind?
In my cup today is the amazing Siren's Clarity. I like to say the one that I inspired from you, Donna. It is absolutely incredible and really helps me to stay warm and all the nice things at this time of year.
Hydrated?
All year round. Yes, hydrated, which is something that I forget quite frequently. But yes, I would say it is my comfort blanket. This drink, I absolutely love it. And what's on my mind? Accessibility and how everything that I do in every area of my life, be it with my own business, be it in my job, or be it just in life in general, I am very person focused. And I always think about, no matter what the output is, I always think about the recipient at the other end and how they're going to feel or how I want them to feel. What do I want them to be sort of their key takeaway from it all? And most of all, what do I want to inspire them to do differently as a result of the interaction, whatever it is? So, Donna, what's in your cup and what's on your mind today?
Today I have got my Scottish tea aura from the Scottish tea estate that's not that far away from me, which is so exciting. It's a lovely, light, smooth black tea. And yeah, it's quite special to be drinking it because there's actually not much made of it because it's still in its infancy, the tea estate. So the tea bushes are not producing as much as they will when they get going. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
It's exciting.
love that. And what's on your mind today?
I'm really curious about the accessibility thing as well. I really love the fact that I want to say default to being person focused as well. It is probably something that a lot of people can learn from as well, because people don't often see things from that point of view, especially if they are in the privileged position of being, able-bodied and kind of fitting into the bracket of neurotypical, or not feeling like they need support, or not, feeling like the world is actually works with their brain rather than
Yeah.
against them.
Yeah.
I find it really difficult with my own website. I mean, I do everything myself, or majority of stuff myself, and that's a lot of work. Even though I'd love to be a lot more accessible, I'd like to have the alt text for a lot of my photos. And I really do try, but there's some things I miss. Or even the colors as well. Like if there's not enough contrast, it can be difficult for partially sighted people or some people to actually see, like I suppose even color blindness as well. I am very grateful to people who actually flag any accessibility issues regarding color as well. I think it's very interesting also. And yeah, I do try and tweak things when, if it's brought up to me. So if anybody actually ever notices anything on any of my products or our website or anything like that, please let me know, because I will have a wee look into it and hopefully optimize it a little bit more.
Yeah, and just on that, I suppose we should say as well that 1 or 2 people have said to us that they would love a video version of this as well. But hands up, video editing is not my skill set. And poor Donna is doing all the rest of the editing. And she is only one person and she has a life outside of this. She has a business outside of this. And she's not superhuman. Well, she is superhuman, but only even superheroes have limits as well. But it is definitely something that we are looking to do in future when I look a bit less bedraggled, hopefully. But yes, it is. We're very aware of it, and it's not that we've taken the feedback and ignored it by any means, but it's just out of our scope just now. But hopefully very soon. And I'm actually saying this for accountability as well, because I want to get myself to a level where I can comfortably do that and take it away from the list, because not all on you to do it, Donna. So hold myself accountable there with that one.
All right then, I will accept that.
But and actually I feel like I've called myself out as well, because my thing about accessibility and thinking about the person and thinking, I'm much more focused on the feeling element of things rather than what people might say traditional accessibility, like can you see it, can you hear it, can you all
Mm-hmm.
that. That is also an area of focus for me, but I will be the first to hold my hands up and say I don't always do my all text. I don't, all that. Again, it's it's the blessing and the curse of being intuitive, I suppose, is that I want everybody who interacts with me in any way, with any of the things that I do, to feel like they are seen and valuable, like that they've been considered in the process of creating, that they're going to show up or do something differently as a result of having the interaction with me. So whether it's advocating more for themselves, whether it's doing something that they've always wanted to do that they'd sort of thought wouldn't be possible, or whatever it is, I kind of want them to feel like, okay, I feel seen and heard and valued. And I guess a huge part of that is actually being able to access the content in the first place. But more so for me is like, well, how do I want them to feel? What do I want them to take away? Is their key kind of takeaway from it?
Mm-hmm.
And what do I want them to do differently? Because that's takes me to another thing. One of the words that I've kind of banned in my friendship group, and again, who listening to this, you'll know that it's you that I'm speaking about, is the word inspirational. My friends are not allowed to say that I am inspirational or inspiring or any of those derivatives of that word, unless they can then tell me what they're going to do differently. Because to me, the definition of being inspired is that it will invoke change within
Mm-hmm.
you. So unless you're going to do something differently and something tangible that you can tell me, then I don't want to hear that I'm inspirational. Because if you're going to say that word and then go on about your business in exactly the same manner as you always have done, then you haven't been inspired. So just put that out there. Yeah, that's something that I'm really big on, is like, don't just throw around words for the sake of saying them. Because I know previously we talked about my degree and how like I am not traditionally artistic, but yet I ended up in a art college and graduating from art college. It was that actually inspired this conversation, because what I realized was I wasn't so much focused on the output or the visual or what it looked like creatively or visually. It was more, is somebody going to be able to access this?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody going to feel good as a result of this? Is it actually, is the message that we're trying to convey actually obvious? And is it going to make the world different in some way? And that was always my go-to. And even in my job now, that's again the questions that I pose. What do we want them to think, feel, and do as a result of this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just my thing. And I suppose it's maybe because in a lot of areas of my life, at various different points in time, I felt not considered and not seen in the whole process, even down to my own maternity experiences. I very much almost felt like I was on the outside looking in sometimes when people
Mm-hmm.
make decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
vowed that as long as I have a breath in my body, nobody else is going to feel like that as a result of something that I've done or not done. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of why I'm so passionate about it all.
Just as a side note here, where can people access that story?
My birth stories on my website, so weedymama.com, on weedymama.co.uk.
We
Or
will put the links in the show notes. Don't worry about that.
my blog is there, and it's got most of the backstory is there. But yeah, to be honest, that experience is pretty much what has led me to here and now today, because I needed and wanted and looked for resources and support. And I know that's a topic that keeps coming up all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
it just wasn't there. So I decided I can either be angry and bitter and hate the world, or I can take my experiences and be that resource for other people. And just as a complete aside, when I finally did get the support and get the things that I needed to have kids, obviously it resulted in me having not one but three kids. I was able to then gift and pay forward some of the equipment that we created when our kids were babies. I was able to then gift and pay that forward to another family who are just starting out on their journey, which was an incredible sort of full circle moment. It was beautiful to be able to do that because I know how empowering it was. Like, it was a cot that we designed and had basically created, that I was able to lift my babies out of the cot myself. And I was then, it's actually a disabled dad who really wants to be able to do that for his son. And we were able to gift the cot to him because we no longer need it. And it was just a beautiful moment to be able to, it kind of was the embodiment of what everything that Weedy Mama is about. Is like, I'm actually able to tangibly pass on this thing that I know will transform this man's parenting journey. Is a beautiful moment to be able to, like, everything that I always wanted to be embodied in that moment, and it was really nice.
So you inspired yourself?
And I think that's so important for everybody who's doing things, be they big or small, to actually, because very often when we are our own worst critics, we go from one challenge and one goal to the next, to the next, to the next. We don't actually take a step back to ever go, or take a pause to go, wow, I just did that thing, and to celebrate the thing, because
Yeah.
I think the more we celebrate, the more it buoys us and is a catalyst for the next thing. So
Yeah.
I think it's so important that we take time to reflect and actually to celebrate and recognize the things that we've won. And that for me was a big win.
Yeah, no, that's really strange because that's actually something that was the thing that I forgotten about. I was gonna I was gonna say to you about okay, we've just done this big massive task, we've done this massive thing that's really great because it's going to impact, like, take for example, you gifting that to this guy, and then it's just like, oh, let's move on to the next thing. What else can I do?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that's a massive part of, and I don't know if it's like, I know it's part of ADHD, but I don't know, other people's experiences, but that is a massive thing for me. I definitely don't take stock of what's happened or of what I've done, or I will wallow in, oh no, this bad thing happened, and I'll go over and over and over in my head.
Yeah.
15 years ago, I said a really stupid thing. This other
Yeah.
person probably doesn't remember, but I do. This
Yeah.
would be a better thing to think about. I
Yeah.
will sit for hours with that, but things that actually that was great, I will not sit with. I'll just be like, okay, next. What else can I do?
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting you say, because that is exactly my experience as well. I can remember in minute detail horrible things that people have said to me, mistakes that I've made. Like, and when I wake up in the middle of the night or whatever, that's what comes front and center stage to, like, to mentally destroy myself with. But the compliments and things that people give me, or the nice things that people say, or completely forget them. It's like they never happened. And what one example that I have is, I had a review one time in my job, and ironically enough, it was about, like, speaking and, content delivery and stuff like that. It's like training essentially. And she gave me some great feedback, but the one kind of area for development, let's say, was voice projection. She said, really need to work on your voice projection, because until I get really passionate, she said, when you're really passionate, your voice projection is good, but at the start, when you're maybe more nervous, whatever, you're hard to hear. Now, that's not a massive criticism, but for me, that was the end of the world. Like, and then whenever we were, like, she was doing the end of the final review, and I said, "Oh, I can't do this job if you can't hear me. Sure, there's no point." She goes, "Hold on, Sarah. I give you 5 brilliant things, and the only thing you remember was number 6, which was the slightly negative one. What's that about?" I wondered if that was just the human condition, if everybody's like that, or whether it is just a,
I think it's a neurospicy thing. But I'm just gonna also link it back. Would it have been last episode or the episode before about saying about giving constructive criticism and everything like that? That's
yeah,
quite interesting to link it into that as well.
yeah.
She's giving you constructive criticism and it's like lots and lots of really good things. But then actually not sure about that one bit.
That was the one that I vividly remembered, and, like, even to this day, and she went back over the 5 other things. To
Mm-hmm.
this day, I still don't remember them, but I can tell you exactly. So even with reinforcement, the positive ones didn't stick, but the negative one 100% stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Velcro to me, like, it's bizarre.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I've definitely been working on as well, like trying to keep in mind the positives too. But To be honest with you, it's a lot of internal. So it's not so much like with any feedback that I get. I'm okay with that now, definitely. I've kind of got to that stage. I am happy with that because that means, as I said before, I know what to work on. But it's the stuff that I've done that I perceive as ridiculous or stupid or could have done something better. That's what sticks in my head.
Okay. So you are your own biggest critic then?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm,
It's actually quite interesting because even though saying that the negative things, I don't take them as such. I take it as, right, how can I improve on this? The positive things still don't stick. So it's been interesting editing this podcast because I'm going back. I'm like, I don't actually even remember Sarah saying this.
yeah.
It's been quite interesting doing that.
Yeah, I'm definitely like that too. And even sometimes I'll listen back to the podcast
Mm.
and I'll listen to it and I'm like, wow, I need to take my own advice. I really need to take my own advice. But I genuinely think that a lot of the good things that I say and a lot of the, dare I say, wisdom that comes out of my mouth, it's almost like it's not me. And I genuinely think that's a lot of what being intuitive and living intuitively is. It's almost like someone else takes the wheel and like the good stuff comes out. But again, that's probably like some weird thing that I'm telling myself. But
Should
yeah,
try and not take credit for it.
yeah, I think so. But I mean, definitely whenever I'm in session with somebody, like a one-to-one session or a reading or whatever, that's definitely not me. Because people will be like, how did you know that? And I'm like, I don't know. They'll come back to me like maybe 6 weeks later and ask me a question about, remember when you said the thing? And I'm like, I have no recollection. I don't remember any of what I said. I do feel like it's something outside of me or something that's not. I genuinely don't feel like I can take credit for it. It is interesting for you, like not letting the positive things stick at all. Hang on, there was somewhere I was going to go with that. Give me a second.
But the negatives, I take it as something to work on. So it actually makes me move forward to do more stuff because I've got these things to work on.
Even that is a really good reframe. That is a really good, and that is the true essence of constructive feedback because that is something that you can actually do something with, and that's amazing because then you're not taking it negatively. You're taking it as okay, so this is something that I need to, or not that I need to, but that I can
Mm-hmm.
work on to be better. And
Mm-hmm.
yet, I firmly believe that we can all, no matter who you are, I think even probably the Dalai Lama has room for improvement. It's not, I think this whole thing of like, I am infallible and I am the superior knowledge of everything, that's BS. I don't care who you are. So the fact that you're going, this is something that I can work on, and
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing. But for me, it's like a knife in my heart, and it would almost. Does that mean I've got a big ego? Maybe it would almost stop me. Well, actually, no, no, because it's only a temporary thing. So I go away and I lick my wounds temporarily, and then I'll come back, depending on who the person is that gives me the feedback or the criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I always take it on board, and I will nearly always implement it, but depending on whether I like you or not. If I like you, I'll tell you that I've taken it on board and I'll thank you for kind of holding up the mirror to me and allowing me the chance to reflect and do. But if I don't like you or don't respect you, then I'll do it, but I'll never say or I'll never. So yeah, I do. I've got an ego problem, I think. I need to go in and sort myself out. But yeah. But then if someone says something that's absolute rubbish, like if I told you you had a purple nose, you know you don't have a purple nose, so it's not going to offend you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I do. The
So if
only
you're unshakable in your knowledge of yourself,
exactly that. So it only hurts, it only stings if there's an element of truth in it, or if it's something that you're already painfully aware of.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the only way that it can hurt, I think. In which case, it is something you need to address because it's harming your inner peace anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it is something you need to do. But like I say, if I don't respect you, or not you, of course I respect you, but the person who's given me the feedback, I will do it and I will take it on board and I will change my ways. Like, I would sooner choke than admit that it was that caused was the catalyst for change. And that's my stubborn Taurus coming to the surface. Yeah, wow, that was quite a realization.
There seems to be a lot of realizations while we're recording these.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Um,
Therapy
and
session.
and they're not like planned or anything like that. Like I sometimes have agendas and I then ask Sarah beforehand, do you want to know my agenda or will I surprise you? And actually so far she just asked to be surprised. So there we go.
Intuitive life, that's just how we roll.
I'm not sure that I would be so confident if you came along and said, I've got an agenda. I'm like, right, tell me first.
No, you would. You would. No, I think we're similar enough that we know we're not going to go too far off piece.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, really, really interesting. See, I've got an ego problem, and I'm very well. I knew I was already stubborn. I knew that's written in the stars that I'm going to be stubborn as a Taurian. So thank you for listening today as we discussed accessibility, internal dialogue, and my giant ego problem. Join us next time on ADHT.
And you can find us across socials. Me via Unravel Tea socials, Sarah via Wheelie Mama. All those links will be in the show notes. And we will also link to Sarah's blog as well, as we spoke about that too. And if you could possibly like and subscribe, because I will forget to tell you that we've just released another episode. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we will be back next week.